Hey there to my 18 subscribers, my future subscribers, and all the people that secretly watch me without subscribing. Today I'm going to do a story time about a dog that I used to have named Alvin. And hopefully you enjoy the story. It's actually more just about the time frame that I had him, which was 4.5 years. Doesn't seem like 4.5, but yeah, it was 4.5 years. So sorry if I'm being a little quiet. I got to learn how to speak up a little bit more. But when I first got Alvin, he was already 10.5 years old, and I was dating somebody that had rentals, and he bought a house that had a couple of dogs left at it, and so he had to figure out, somebody came and got one of them, but he had to figure out what to do with this dog Alvin, which, I don't know, he looked kind of like a miniature collie, but he was actually Pekingese and blue heeler, or at least that's the assumption. They're not 100% positive about who the dad was. It's just a guess. But anyway, so this dog, when I first got him, he looked like a mess. I'll see if I could put a picture on the video, because I haven't done that yet, but I'll try and see if it'll work. Maybe I can, put it up here somewhere or something. Anyway, he was a mess. His hair was like super long. He was like covered in weeds, and it was all matted and everything. So we needed to decide, like what condition he was in. We had no clue, couldn't tell. So we took him to the pet groomers and asked them to shave him. And they were a little upset at the condition he was in, but they shaved him, and we got him back, and we'll see if I can put another picture up here of what he looked like after he got his hair cut. And he looked really happy in the picture, but he was actually really sick at the time, and he couldn't even keep down water. Like, he was so sick he couldn't eat or drink anything. And I won't go into all of the details on here because I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say, but he did have a section of skin that was missing, which is a horrible story, but I went and found a way to take care of it and keep it clean, and it took him several weeks to heal, but he managed. And I put some colloidal silver in his water. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but I put it in his water, and so even though he was throwing up his water, he'd drink it, get a little in his system, and we kept doing that, and the silver healed him and made it where he could eat and stuff again, obviously, since we did have him for several years. But he was a very smart little dog, but scared of everything. Like, he didn't know how to bark. We tried buying him toys, but he was afraid to play with them. So I got him to where he would sleep underneath my bed, and I put toys under there so he could play with them and feel comfortable and not have to stress so much. He did have seizures whenever he did get stressed, which was usually at times where there was a lot of people around. He got a lot of anxiety when there were crowds. So he'd have seizures, and I would just hold him until it passed. And then one day I going to work. I was working at the courthouse at the time, and my boyfriend at the time, he was working on some rentals, and he had taken his dog with him for the day. And I'd asked him to watch Alvin, but he was worried he had run off, so he left him at his place in a fenced yard, and didn't realize how high Alvin could jump at the time. But when we got back later in the evening, I got off work and went and met up with my boyfriend at the time, and we went back to his house and noticed that Alvin was kind of limping around and walking funny. And we got inside and discovered he'd been shot. And that was really confusing. We didn't know how he'd gotten shot, but best guess is he jumped to the back fence to go try and find us. And he had this habit, he would like go find other animals and sniff them out of curiosity. Like, he wasn't aggressive at all, but he was very curious. And so we're assuming that maybe he might have gotten into around somebody's sheep or something, and they probably shot him with a BB gun. We did take him to the vet, and they had to put some tubes in him after they cleared out the holes and made sure he wasn't going to get infection. And he healed from that okay. We did notice that he had an injury on his, or he had something wrong with him. We didn't know it was an injury. He had something wrong with him when we got him, and there was like this lump, big, like huge lump, like in his side, and it didn't seem to hurt him, but we were concerned because we didn't know what it was. And again, we took him to the vet, and the vet thought that it was a tumor, so we left him there to have surgery. And when the vet opened him up, he discovered it wasn't a tumor after all. His intestines were falling out through his rib cage. So the vet was nice enough to only charge us the amount he quoted us, even though the surgery took a lot longer and was a lot more complicated than he had anticipated. But he got him all fixed up, and he healed from that too. And this little dog, when we first got him, I think he was like maybe about 9 pounds. I think 8 or 9 pounds. We were told that he should have been around 16. So he was kind of malnourished a bit. Of course, after a while, he got up to about 24 pounds because we were spoiling him rotten, because we thought he deserved to, enjoy part of his life. And he was doing really good. This dog, you could, go in and out of places, and he would sit at doors and just wait for permission. Like, one time we forgot that he was in the car because he was just so timid and quiet, and we got to looking around trying to figure out where he was at, and we look outside, and he's got his head hanging out the window of the car door waiting for permission to get out. So that was interesting. He liked waiting for permission for everything. So I just realized that I forgot about one little thing I was going to put in this video, and that was about the time that my dog got attacked by another dog. And I know I said it in the video already, but I think it's after this point when I said it, so I'll just go ahead and go over it again. Or maybe it was before. Who knows? I've lost track of what I've said. But he was a very curious dog. Not aggressive at all, just really curious. Like to go around sniffing people and animals and, that kind of thing. And one time I was at the store getting some tools and supplies and stuff, and I got a phone call letting me know that something was wrong with him and I needed to hurry home and get him down to the vets because they didn't know if he was going to make it. I got to the house where he was at, and it kind of looked like oh wait, I don't know if I can say that word on here. It looked like a crime had been taken place. There was blood everywhere, like all over the place. And my son and my boyfriend at the time had him in the bathtub where he was bleeding pretty severely. So I wrapped him up in a blanket and took him to the vet. Apparently there was a female dog out in the front yard, and he walked up and sniffed her. And the dog next door got jealous and ripped a fairly large chunk out of him. And the vet sewed him up and didn't really charge much at all because the vet didn't really think he was going to make it. And at one point the stitches broke because there just wasn't enough tissue to hold it closed. And so the vet said, well, just have to wait and see what happens, that he wasn't going to try and stitch him up again. And after lots of prayers, he actually healed super fast, like so fast. I had to take him to the vet and show him, and the vet was just shocked. And the owner of the female dog was really sweet, and they came over and gave me some money to help for the vet bill, which they didn't have to do at all. It wasn't their fault, but it was very greatly appreciated. Some really nice Mennonite people, and I wish I could remember their names, but I don't, because there was a family that lived there, and like they'd move out and then other family would move in, and I'm not really sure which ones it was at the time, but they were very nice people. So there's that story too. Now back to my original video. He did eventually learn how to bark with the help of my boyfriend's dog, and learned how to play with toys, but he never did play with them in front of people. So I just kept putting him underneath the bed for him. And eventually he started losing his hearing and his sight. And so we just, had to deal with that as well. And one day I let him out in the morning and didn't think nothing of it. It's normal. I just let him out every morning. But this one particular day, after I'd let him out, a couple minutes went by and I heard all kinds of just horrible noises outside, some pounding noises and some crying, I guess whimpering noises. I'm not sure how you describe it, but I opened the door because it sounded like it was on my front porch, and there was a deer trampling him. And I tried to get him to come in, but he got scared and ran to the back door where the deer continued to trample on him. And of course, gut instinct is to protect the dog. I tried yelling at the deer, it didn't work. I threw something at her, it didn't work. I ran up and hit her, and she headbutted me and took off. So that's not a smart thing to do, just so you know. I did get him inside, but she had stomped him hard enough to damage his liver. And so he had to be put on some special dog food and special medication to keep his liver functioning. And we did that for a while. And I guess I forgot to clear stuff off my phone, other videos and stuff, so I ran out of space. So, and then I got a phone call. So let's see if I can remember where I left off. So I got the dog. I got Alvin on some special dog food and medication for his liver, and that was going well, and he was doing good. But I noticed he started losing his ability to think. Like maybe he was getting some sort of dementia, if that's a thing in dogs, I don't know. But he was getting confused. He couldn't hear really at all anymore after a while, and he was really struggling to see. And I felt like maybe the special food and special medication was just prolonging his suffering, and so I quit giving it to him, and he died shortly after that. And but yeah, he was a really good dog, and he had quite the wild ride, I guess, during the time we had him. We spoiled him rotten, but you know, things happen. And so yeah, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And hopefully soon I'll have a different setup for recording. Right now I'm using my phone because the webcam I just bought is kind of garbage. The sound sucks and the picture sucks, and so yeah, I'm going to hopefully have something else set up soon. And so who knows what the next video will look like. But anyway, that's it for now. Bye.
I pull up around 7:45 in my 740i, looking 740 fly. I could drove the old school Chevy, but my fans left the night, so I'm rock star ready.